You may have a seat, Mr. Worthing.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell. I prefer standing.
I feel bound to tell you that you are not down on my list of eligible young men, but I have the same list as the dear Duchess of Bolton has. We work together, in fact. But I am quite prepared to enter your name should your answers be what a really affectionate mother requires. Do you smoke?
Well, yes, I must admit I smoke.
I'm glad to hear it. A man ought to always have an occupation of some kind. There are far too many idle men in London as it is. How old are you?
28.
A very good age to be married at. I have always been of the opinion that a man who wishes to be married should know either everything or nothing. Which do you know?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
I'm pleased to hear it. I do not approve of anything that tampers with natural ignorance. Ignorance is like a delicate exotic fruit. Touch it, and the bloom is gone. The whole theory of modern education is radically unsound. Fortunately, in England, at any rate, education produces no effect whatsoever. If it did, it would prove a danger to the upper classes and likely lead to acts of violence in Grosvenor Square. What is your income?
Between 7,000 and 8,000 a year.
In land or in investments?
In investments, chiefly.
That is not unsatisfactory. Between the duties expected of one during one's lifetime and the duties exacted from one after one's death, land has ceased to be either a profit or a pleasure. It gives one position and prevents one from keeping it up. That's all that can be said about land.
I have a country house, of course, with some land attached to it. About 1,600 acres, I believe. But I don't depend on that for my real income. In fact, as far as I can make out, poachers are the only people who make anything out of it.
A country house. How many bedrooms? That is a matter that can be cleared up afterwards. You have a townhouse, I hope. A girl with a simple, unspoiled nature like Gwendolyn's could hardly be expected to reside in the country.
I have a house in Belgrave Square, but it was let 5 years to Lady Bloxham. Of course, I can get it back from her whenever I like at 6 months' notice.
Lady Bloxham? I don't know her.
Oh, she is the lady considerably advanced in years. She goes about very good.
Nowadays, that is hardly a guarantee of respectability of character. What number in Belgrave Square?
149.
Ah, the unfashionable side. I thought there must be something. However, that could easily be altered.
Do you mean the fashion or the side?
Both, if necessary, I presume. What are your politics?
I'm afraid I really have none. I'm a liberal unionist.
They count as Tories. They dine with us, or come in the evening at any rate. And now to minor matters. Are your parents living?
I have lost both my parents.
To lose one parent, Mr. Worthing, might be regarded as a misfortune. To lose both looks like carelessness. Who was your father? He was evidently a man of some wealth. Did he rise from what the more radical papers call the purple of commerce, or from the ranks of the aristocracy?
I'm afraid I really don't know. The fact is, Lady Bracknell, I said I had lost my parents. It would be near the truth to say that my parents seem to have lost me. Yeah, I don't actually know who I am by birth. I was found.
Found?
The late Mr. Thomas Cardew, an old gentleman of a very charitable and kindly disposition, found me, and gave me the name of Worthing, because he happened to have a first-class ticket for Worthing in his pocket at the time. Worthing is a place in Sussex. It is a seaside resort.
And where did this charitable gentleman with a first-class ticket for a seaside resort find you?
In a handbag.
A handbag?
Yes, Lady Bracknell. I was in a handbag, a somewhat large black leather handbag with handles to it. An ordinary handbag, in fact.
And in what locality did this Mr. Thomas or John Cardew find this handbag?
In the cloakroom at Victoria Station. It was given to him in exchange for his own.
The cloakroom at Victoria Station.
Yes, the Brighton line.
The line is immaterial! Mr. Worthing, I must confess that I am somewhat confounded by what you have just told me. To be born, or at any rate bred, in a handbag, whether it had handles or not, seems to me to demonstrate a contempt for the ordinary family values that reminds one of the worst excesses of the French Revolution. And I presume you know what that unfortunate would have led to. As for the particular locality in which the handbag was found, a cloakroom in a railway station might well serve to conceal a social indiscretion. Indeed, probably has been used for that purpose before now, but it could hardly be regarded as an assured basis for a good position in polite society.
Well, may I ask you then what you would advise me to do? I need hardly say I would do anything in the world to return Gwendolyn's happiness.
I would advise you, Mr. Worthing, to try and acquire some relations, and produce at least one parent of either sex before the season is quite out.
I can possibly manage to do that. I can produce the handbag at any moment. This is my dressing room at home. I really think that should satisfy you, Lady Bracknell.
Me, sir! What has this to do with me? You can hardly imagine that Lord Bracknell and myself would allow our daughter, a girl brought up with the utmost care, to marry into a cloakroom and form an alliance with a parcel. Good day, Mr. Worthing.
Good day.
Didn't it go off all right, old boy? You don't mean to say that Gwendolyn refused you? It is a way she has. She is always refusing people. I think it very ill-natured of her.
Gwendolyn is as right as a trivet. As far as she is concerned, we are engaged. Her mother. Perfectly unbearable. Never met such a gorgon. I don't really know what gorgon is, but I am quite sure that Lady Bracknell is one. In any case, she is a monster without being a myth, which is rather unfair. I beg your pardon, Algy. I suppose I shouldn't talk about your other aunt in that way before you.
My dear boy, I love hearing my relations abused. It's the only thing that makes me put up with them at all. Relations are simply a tedious pack of people who haven't the remotest knowledge about how to live, nor the smallest instinct about when to die.
That is nonsense.
It isn't.
No, I want to argue with you about the matter. You always want to argue about things.
And that is what things were originally made for.
Oh my word. If I thought that, I'd shoot myself. You don't think that there is any chance that Gwendolyn will be like her mother in about 150 years, do you?
All women become like their mothers. That's their tragedy. No man does. That's his.
Is that clever?
It's perfectly phrased, and quite as true as any observation in civilized life should be.
Aye. I'm sick to death of cleverness. Everybody is clever nowadays. You can't go anywhere without meeting clever people. It's become an absolute public nuisance. I wish to goodness we had a few fools left.
We have.
I should extremely like to meet them. What do they talk about?
The fools. Oh, about the clever people, of course. Have you told Gwendolyn the truth about your being Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
My dear fellow, and the truth isn't quite the sort of thing one tells a nice, sweet, refined girl like Gwendolyn. Extraordinary ideas you have about the way to behave to a woman.
The only way to behave to a woman is to make love to her if she is pretty, and to someone else if she is plain. What about your brother? What about the profligate Ernest?
By the end of the week I should have got rid of him. I'll say he died in Paris of apoplexy. Well, lots of people die of apoplexy quite suddenly, don't they?
Yes, but it's hereditary. It's the sort of thing that runs in families. You had much better say a severe chill.
You are sure that a severe chill is not hereditary or anything of the kind?
Of course it isn't.
Very well then. What on earth does Harriet suddenly in Paris want a severe chill? That gets rid of me.
Yes, but didn't you say that Miss Cardew was a little too interested in your brother? Won't she feel his loss a good deal?
No, that's all right. Cecily is not some silly romantic girl, I'm glad to say. She has got a capital appetite, goes long walks, pays no attention at all to her lessons.
I would rather like to see Cecily.
I shall take extremely good care of it. We never do. She's excessively pretty. She's only just 18.
Have you told Gwendolyn that you have an excessively pretty ward who is only just 18?
One doesn't blurt these things out to people. Cecily and Gwendolyn are perfectly certain to be extremely great friends. In fact, I'll bet you anything you like. Half an hour after they have met, they will be calling each other sister.
Women only do that after they've called each other a lot of other things. Now, if we are going to get a good table at Willis's, we really must go and dress. Do you know it is nearly 7?
It is always nearly 7.
Well, I'm hungry.
I never knew you when you weren't.
What shall we do after dinner? Go to a theatre?
I loathe this, Dean.
Well, let's go to the club.
No, I can't stand hockey.
Well, we might trot around the Empire at 10.
I hate looking at things. So childish.
Well, what shall we do?
Nothing.
It is awfully hard work doing nothing. Oh, I don't mind hard work when there's no definite object of any kind.